Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first of what will hopefully be many episodes of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, your host, and this is where you can come and get your 10-minute take on the Cleveland Browns. And let's face it, folks, sometimes 10 minutes is all you could take when you're talking about the Browns. But no, I'm kidding. I am a lifelong fan of the team. Grew up in Cleveland, 5 minutes from downtown in Slavic Village. Been there, folks. Red Right 88, the drive, the fumble, everything, you name it. I've been there. Love for you to get involved. So please subscribe and like to the channel. And also get us your comments. Get your comments in that comment section and we can react. We can talk. Let's talk about our team. And guess what, folks? Today, we're talking wacko for Flacco. Once again, Joe Flacco back signing a one-year deal for $4 million. This is something that should have happened last year, but Deshaun Watson, of course, that whole situation screwed it all up. But Joe Flacco is back, and this is good because Joe Flacco will be the guy to help nurture whoever it is we pick up in the draft. This is a situation that I was screaming for back in October. Now, originally, I was screaming for Kirk Cousins. I feel Kirk Cousins knows this offense, knows Stefanski, would be a great mentor for whoever comes in. But I'll tell you what, Joe Flacco, really not a bad second option because we saw what he did in this offense 2 years ago. Came right in off the couch and just started slinging it. The guy can read a defense. And he's got a great arm. And so now the Browns can sit back and figure out which one of these quarterbacks in the draft really could fit the mold just like Joe Flacco. And I said all along, it would have been so great when Joe Flacco was with us the first time around if we could have had a younger Joe Flacco. We needed Joe Flacco's brain in a younger body. That's what we needed. And it looks like we're going to get it now. So Joe Flacco back with the team. Thank goodness we have a mentor for our new quarterback who we'll take in the draft. Now, in the draft, that's the next topic of conversations. What do you do now with the number 2 pick? I think now that you have Flacco in the fold, you have options. And here's what I think about the number 2 pick. I don't think you can really mess this up in any way. If they really love Shedeur Sanders and they want to take him, that's fine. That's great. But I think what I would do, and this may not be the most popular of opinions, but I've been saying all along, I would take multiple quarterbacks in this draft for one. But that was before we picked up Kenny Pickett. We'll get to him in a minute. Here's what I think they do. I think you can go with Travis Hunter. You could go with Abdul Carter at number 2, you're not going to be wrong. I don't think anybody's going to fault you for taking either of those guys. You could also take Shedeur Sanders, and I don't think people will rail on you if you think this is the guy that's going to fit the offense. I don't know if I necessarily think so. The reason I like Sanders only because of his dad. Honestly, Dion, if anybody's going to be NFL ready, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Dion is going to set him up to fail. I think that having Dion's experience around him will help him tremendously. But that's why I feel the same way about Travis Hunter. And so I don't think there's really, if you go that route, any one of those picks, I don't think anybody's going to hammer you. But in my opinion, I think what we can do now in this draft is take a Travis Hunter. And then I've been screaming up and down with that second pick, get either Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, or Will Howard. And I'm going to tell you, folks, I love Quinn Ewers. And I know it's not a popular opinion, but I love the guy. He's been through it all, and he has faced the toughest defenses you can face. He went into Michigan and beat them. And I know everybody's going to say, oh, Ohio State beat them. I said, but his offensive line, trash. Love Will Howard, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. What worries me about Ohio State quarterbacks is every Ohio State quarterback, and look down the line, Justin Fields, look at all of them. They are throwing to NFL quarterback wide receivers, so everybody's open on every single play, it seems. And so, to me, it skews the Ohio State quarterbacks a little bit. Love Will Howard, but I also love Jackson Dart. I feel Ewers, Dart, and Howard with that second pick. You get one of those three, especially Ewers. Ewers to me is that carbon copy of Joe Flacco. Now that we got Flacco back in the fold, I think that would be a match made in heaven if we could get them two together and let him just learn from Flacco. This isn't going to be about wins and losses this year, folks. This is going to be about getting these guys up to speed. But now, you're probably wondering, what about Kenny Pickett? Well, what about Kenny Pickett? Could Kenny Pickett be the answer? Here's what I think. I think now you have a lot of teams who, after they saw what happened with Sam Darnold last year, where he bounces around, or even Baker Mayfield, which that's a whole nother situation the Browns screwed up, but we won't get into that today. But he bounces around to a few teams and finally he grows up a little bit and finds his home. I think the Browns could be thinking they could recreate that Sam Darnold magic with Kenny Pickett, possibly. But here's what's new. Flacco being in the fold now, he can also mentor Kenny Pickett a little bit. So whether it's Pickett or whoever it is you draft, the good news is we have a player coach now in the quarterback room with Flacco. So, Kenny Pickett was 7-5 his 2 years in Pittsburgh. I mean, he had injuries. He was dealing with injuries. He went to Philly. I mean, and it was some mop-up duty here and there, whatever. But, he looked halfway decent. He looked better than what he did in Pittsburgh. And so, it's an interesting situation, and it reminds me a little bit of like when the Cleveland Guardians grab a pitcher because they have Carl Willis as their pitching coach. They can get a guy and look at him and figure out what's wrong with him and make him into a good pitcher. You saw it last year. You see it every year with the Guardians. I feel the Browns feel the same way about Kenny Pickett. Maybe they get him in here. Stefanski gets him under his wing. Maybe he knows. Maybe he sees something that's wrong with him. He fixes it. And who knows? You may have a quarterback that could end up winning us, more games than you're thinking about going into next season. So I honestly, not even considering wins and losses next year. I think what has to happen is rule number one: develop the quarterback. Because even if you lose, I don't think they'll lose every game. But if they lose the majority of their games and they have a high draft pick again, now you're right back in the quarterback talk again, and then you'll get your franchise quarterback. But I think whether it's Dart, Ewers, or Will Howard, there is definitely somebody there that you can develop, and let's sit and learn, and then in his second year, quite possibly take over. Or like I said, maybe Flacco can coach Pickett up too. And so why is all this important, folks? It's because fan apathy is at an all-time high. I have never seen it like this, especially last year. We got towards the end of last year. Even I, honestly, didn't care. It was such a disaster. The Watson situation, and then the DTR and this, and Jameis Winston and his antics and all of it. I mean, it's just a sideshow. And fans are so tired of it. We're just tired of it. Like, we haven't put 2 winning seasons together since they've come back. I mean, that's how bad it is. And so whatever glimmer of hope we can take from this signing, and then, of course, the draft, which always is our Super Bowl, unfortunately, but we can take this and build on it. Hopefully they learned from this Watson experiment, which was by far the worst trade in the history of sports. The Herschel Walker trade is now fallen back to second, but we need to really start shifting the attitude of fans and the organization, and everybody's just sitting here now just saying, don't talk, show me. And I think that's where we're at. And so they're making these moves, they're sitting tight and just waiting to see what they can end up with. Get that number 2 pick, get that quarterback you can develop, probably going to need a running back. Need to fix the offensive line. There are so many facets to this, folks, but it starts with that number 2 pick in the draft. But I think, really, honestly, it started with that signing of Joe Flacco. You get that veteran presence in the room, and we go from here. All right, folks, that's it for today. Hey, like and subscribe. Hope you love hearing the takes on the Browns. Come back here. We'll have the latest news each and every day for you right here on Browns Latest.